So, Adrian Ramsay is correct here. Let's be real. He's right to say that Nigel Farage is a con artist and a performer and will essentially be a bit of a weather vane in the way that Keir Starmer is on certain issues, like, for example, on nationalisation. Nigel Farage doesn't believe in it, but he knows he's popular, so he's talking about it anyway, you know? Talk in a nationalist sense rather than in a socialist sense, you know? Making the nationalist case for public ownership because it's in the national interest rather than it's in the people or the workers' interest, but whatever. And Adrian Ramsay is right to say that he is bankrolled by fossil fuel interests, climate deniers, and major polluters. But to be Adrian Ramsay, somebody who, you know, let's be real, right? Whether or not you like the guy, and I'm certainly turning against him because he couldn't strongly be pro-trans in the wake of the ruling we've seen the other week. He, in his infinite wisdom, wants to have an hour-long TV debate about climate change and reaching net zero with Nigel Farage. I mean, if you want to get somebody else who's not Adrian Ramsay, who's better at debating to do it, then by all means. I really do want to see Nigel Farage get at least some amount of scrutiny for his completely unsustainable and untrue, really, and unsupported positions on net zero and climate change. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to get someone to come and debate him, can we just not have Adrian Ramsay, please? You've also got to be funny. Like, I hate to say about this, you know, with regards to it being style over substance, but in these kind of debates you have to be funny. You can't just rely on having the facts or even necessarily the rhetoric. You've got to be likable as well, and Adrian Ramsay is just like a charisma vacuum. He's not very likable at all. I'm not saying that he's nasty or anything, but he's not endearing. Well, Zach Polanski would be the best person to debate, I think, yeah. No offense to Ramsay, he looks and sounds like the nerd emoji. So true! So true, he really does look and sound like the nerd emoji. So I'd debate the fuck out of Nigel Farage, right? I would absolutely 100% do a debate with Farage, but then again, I'm a loudmouth YouTube streamer and not a milquetoast liberal politician trying to act like a sensible. Zach would definitely be better. Because one of the big things, you know, because this is in response to a statement by Nigel Farage saying that we should scrap net zero targets, that they're going to make zero difference to the world, to focus on reopening coal mines instead of cutting carbon emissions. Like, even if you didn't want to cut carbon emissions, even if you didn't care about the broader kind of climate focus of this policy, there's economic kind of fulcrum here that he doesn't realise exists, which is that there is a limited supply of fossil fuels. There's a limited market for fossil fuels as well, you know? There's only a time limit on how long these can go on for. And the new economy is going to be in green technology. That's where the money is going to be. That's where the future prosperity and the jobs of the future, the industries of the future are going to come from. It's going to come from green tech. It's going to come from green steel. It's going to come from green electricity generation. It's going to come from producing things like solar panels and batteries and electric vehicles and trains. There is such a grand economic case for fossil fuel divestment in terms of wanting to become at least somewhat self-sufficient on green technology and get ahead of the pack in terms of being an industry leader on this. This is why China are doing it. You know, whilst I will admit that Xi Jinping thought at least has some amount of environmentalism baked into it. I believe it's 0.6 or something. Has got an environmentalist tinge to it. Do you really think that Xi Jinping is rolling out a bunch of green energy projects because he really cares about the environment? Or is Xi Jinping doing a bunch of green energy projects because he knows it's going to be the economy of the future, because he knows it's going to be the way in which it makes China geopolitically and economically powerful by being a quote-unquote industry leader when it comes to green technology? Trying to talk about Xi Jinping without discussing what he wants in terms of the raw economic self-interest rather than some kind of broad ideological point about climate change. Obviously, Xi Jinping cares about national prosperity more, and that's why he is divesting from fossil fuels and why they have created more clean green energy than any country in the world in 2024. There aren't enough rich coal deposits left in the UK anyway, not unless you dig up all the national parks. It's just Trump flavour nonsense from Farage. It's so true as well. Like, it would be more expensive, even if you don't take into account the fact that British workers would get paid more and that would be a good thing. Even if you take into account the wage differential between coal mining overseas and coal mining in the UK, the extra expense that it would cost to mine deep coal in the UK, what deposits we have left, will make it far less affordable than if we just paid those same wages to people overseas who dig up coal, trying to bring the mining industry back to the UK. Again, it doesn't feel like a rational economic proposal. It just feels like offering people what they used to want, trying to beat Labour at their own game in mining communities and ex-mining communities, regardless of whether or not these are economically viable projects. Like, the problem with Thatcher closing the coal mines wasn't necessarily that coal was a dying industry, because it was a dying industry, and we were probably going to have to divest from it. The problem with Thatcherism and Blairism is that when they did close the coal mines, when they got around to realising that there was no commercial viable market to continue being a coal mining and producing nation, they didn't create an alternative industrial policy to reindustrialise and create new replacement jobs and training programs from all the people who'd lost out, you know? When the coal mines were closed, they didn't get people into trading programs with supply-side investment for new productive capacity for different industries in those mining towns. They put these people all on the dole and left those mining towns to rot. It was not a just transition. Industries die all the time and get subsumed by more efficient or more lucrative or more important industries all the time. This is just the nature of statecraft, regardless of whether or not this is under capitalism, socialism, feudalism, or whatever. Industries die and get subsumed by better industries. The problem, of course, is whether the transition from the old industry to the new industry is just or unjust. This is why we talk about a just transition to net zero, because it's not about just closing down all the oil rigs, closing down all the blast furnaces, closing down all of the polluting technology, and then leaving it at that. That would be the Thatcherite or the Blairite approach. It's about using the power of the state through green investment to say, look, well, we may be closing down an oil refinery in Grangemouth, but what we're going to replace it with is these new green jobs by HQing some kind of replacement industry in the town that lost the jobs when we moved from the old industry to the new one. That's a just transition. So trying to say, well, we closed the coal mines and that was bad for community. Well, it was, but that doesn't mean we should reopen the coal mines. It means supply-side investment into these areas. But of course, Nigel Farage doesn't believe in productive industrial supply-side investment into these kind of projects because he doesn't believe in supply-side investment from the state at all, because he's a Thatcherite. He believes what Thatcher believed, which is that the coal mine should close and you should throw people onto the dole. He doesn't believe in industrial strategy. He doesn't believe in the state intervening in the market. He believes in the free market having supremacy, which is why you know that this is all just kind of naked self-interest, completely insincerely, because he's doing it to try and win people's votes, not because he believes in the things that he's saying. Which is why I think it's good to want to debate him. I just think that the debate should be done by somebody who is more charismatic, more rhetorically proficient, and more likeable than Adrian Ramsay. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.